I'm so excited about jumping on this playlist. The Fantasy Survey, the week of August 29th, 1987. I'm just going to do this damn thing on the fly. At number 37, another debut, Mr. a lost 45. I would venture that only one out of 100,000 people in the world remember this record. That is it. Mr. Something Real is from their album called Go On. It's called Go On, the album. It was I think it was their third or fourth album that was released in 1987. Mr. from Los Angeles. Mr. was a group of session musicians. These guys were pros who played in sessions with other artists. Richard Page had played in sessions with Quincy Jones. And let me collect my thoughts. Let me just calm down, collect my thoughts. Richard Page, you're not going to believe this. When Richard Page and Mr. the group Mr. they released their first album called I Wear the Face in 1984. It was off of RCA Records. During that time, Richard Page, the lead singer of Mr., was offered two amazing opportunities. The first opportunity to replace lead singer Bobby Kimball of Toto. Richard Page had a chance, was offered to sing lead for Toto. Oh, and if that wasn't big enough, it gets even bigger. Later on, he was offered another fantastic job, replacing Peter Cetera as lead singer of Chicago. That's Richard Page. Richard Page refused both offers and stayed with Mr. Mr. was going to become a five-man band. They were going to add a bass player, but as it turned out, Richard Page could hold his own on the bass playing. So it was a four-man band, session pros, and their big album, the breakthrough album, Welcome to the Real World. Oh my gosh, Broken Wings. My goodness. Remember watching that video of Night Tracks back in the fall of 1985 on Superstation WDBS. Went to number one for 2 weeks, and then Carrie came out after that. Carrie, or however you pronounce it, Kyrie, number one for 2 weeks in 1987. What is this dang stupid camera doing? Hey, bear with me. This camera's got a mind of its own. Maybe it's getting too tired of my intensity. And then, of course, Is It Love went to number 8, spring of 1986. And then they came out with the second album called Go On, but Something Real was the lead single off of that, only went to number 29. That's it. Was not as commercial as Broken Wings and Is It Love. But it debuts at number 37 on my fantasy playlist the week of August the 29th, 1987, as we roll into the fall of 87. One other thing about Richard Page. Richard Page, post Mr. He teamed up with Madonna and Patrick Leonard. All three of these people, Madonna, Patrick Leonard, and Richard Page, they wrote one of Madonna's biggest hits, I Remember. Went to number 2 here in the States, went to number 7 in Britain back in the spring and summer of 1994. Mr. Something Real at number 37, another debut on my fantasy survey.